Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. We got Sean's Homelite Super XL-130 that we're working on here. And I've had it running, by the way, Sean. Doing just fine. Figured out that carb issue. We'll deal with that in a different video. This is about the sprockets on these Canadian saws and why some things are different, why some things are the same, and why some things are just a pain in the ass. So with that lead in, this is, I'm going to put it back on just for a second. This is the clutch that came on this Super XL-130. Now I would have to go back to the IPLs. I don't know the Canadian saws that well. But what I do know is a fair number used this style clutch. There were some that used a 3-inch clutch that would interchange with like an XL-130 or you know, that series of saw. What is that, a 6.9? I think it's a 6.9459 clutch. 3 inches is what your drum is. There were some XL-76s that used the 2 5/8 clutch, the S clutch. Okay, those bearings are those clutch drums will interchange with US counterparts. This one gives guys trouble all the stinking time, and it caught me before too, but I figured out a way around it. So this one, let me get this back off. For starters, when you look at the IPL, if you've got this, or you just look at the part, A-59553-1T. Well, that 1T is the dead giveaway. It was only used in international saws, primarily Canada. Terry-built Homelites. To the best of my knowledge, that sprocket was never used on a US model saw. The second thing I'm going to say is that the availability of Canadian parts sucks bad compared to the US ones. I'm assuming there were less dealers. I'm assuming there were less dealers that had old stock of parts when Homelite, was sold off to the Chinese. And I'm going to also assume that most of those dealerships have long since gotten rid of their parts. They're just, because you don't find this stuff. You just don't. Now, if you're in Canada, you might. But it isn't on Canadian eBay, I can tell you that, because I looked. Don't see them. So what the hell's a guy to do? Well, one, this drum is the same outside diameter as what will fit on a Super XL automatic. This is an Oregon 12520. It's the rim style. This one is a Spur style. But the Homelite A-595... God, I'm going to screw this up. I'm not even going to try it anymore because it was in my mind and it went out. The late model Homelite drum, it is an A94 something or other, or A95. The Spur drum is the same diameter as this one. What's different is this inner bore right here. So this has its own race and drum that I do believe is common to the XL-123 saws. Well, that doesn't do a bit of good. I mean, that's loose as a goose in there. Worthless. So I decided I needed to figure out what to do in this case, because that's not cool. You don't want to have a saw that you can't replace it in. I thought that was a good bearing, but that is not. We can get rid of that before we get a close-up. So I came up with a solution, and I'm sure I'm not the first one. And to be fair, I haven't gone out on the web and looked to see if somebody else has come up with this. I just happen to know that it works based on some trial and error. Okay, there we go. So the 64124 standard bearing used on a lot of these saws. fits that drum. Now, excuse me, the Super XL saws use a stepped crankshaft. So where this bearing and race are going to ride is smaller than this crankshaft right here. To complicate things, that's the clutch that came off. Here's a Super XL late model clutch. Well, that's no good. Threads on that are at least one size bigger. So, how do we get around this? Well, one, don't go looking for that part. Just don't. Get yourself a Super XL clutch, drum, or, Spur, Sprocket, whatever. Get a 64 124 bearing. Fits that perfectly. Get a 65985 sprocket race from a 360, which also uses this bearing. Fits perfect. And you're there. Now, I'm not going to tighten this down all the way because I didn't put a rim on there. I just want to demonstrate that that it's the right diameter. Come on. Stay there, we go. Proper amount of in and out play. Smooth as silk. So that is the secret. I get a lot of questions from guys in Canada working on these saws. Hey, I can't find the 59553. You got one? And the answer is always no. I've never had one. Ever. Never come across one of these. Even in some shipments of parts that I've gotten from Canadian sellers. Still haven't gotten it. So here's the answer. Come on, baby. Use a Super XL sprocket, clutch drum. You can use the rim, you can use the spur. It does not matter. Whatever you prefer. For Sean, I'm putting on the rim, because in the future, when that rim wears out, he'll replace that, and he won't have to replace the drum. I would go out on a limb and say you can probably get 3 to 4, maybe even more rims if you don't have a clutch slipper to drum, Now this clutch is in great shape. Super XL bearing, late model, the 64 124, not the pressed in one, not going to work. 360 race, 65 985. That will get you guys back on the road. So it's really interesting. The only difference between this clutch and an early Super XL or XL-500 clutch that used the same style is the bore of the thread size in here. Everything else is the same. The spring is the same. The dimensions of the spider are the same. The clutch shoes are the same. It's that threaded air opening right there that makes it different. So it's amazing. Homelite recycled and reused an awful lot of stuff over the years. But that's enough long-winded BS. That's if you've got a XL-76 or a Super XL-130 that has this 3 1/16 inch clutch and you don't have any idea what to do, you do now.